There is a nut you already have in your kitchen. You probably sprinkle it on salads or toss it into trail mix without a second thought. But what if that same ordinary nut was once reserved exclusively for kings and emperors? What if Roman emperors named it after Jupiter, the king of the gods? What if for 2,000 years physicians prescribed it for a single purpose, to heal the brain? That nut is the walnut. And today, the FDA has barred companies from telling you what it actually does. In 2010, they sent warning letters to anyone who mentioned the research. The $11 billion supplement industry sells you capsules for what this food delivers whole. They cannot patent it, so they silenced it. I'm Frank Miller, and this is Heritage Garden Wisdom, where we expose the knowledge the system was designed to bury. Subscribe right now and activate notifications because the FDA actively prevents food companies from telling you what decades of research have proven about this single nut. Share this video with someone who takes expensive brain supplements every month. Comment below telling me if your doctor has ever recommended walnuts for brain health. Most of you will say no, and by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why that silence exists. Walnut, Juglans regia, the royal nut that Persian kings reserved for themselves and gifted to Greek royalty. It was not a peasant food, it was not an emergency ration, it was a commodity so valuable that Pliny considered it worthy of an entire chapter. But Pliny was documenting knowledge far older than Rome. The physicians who taught him believed the walnut healed the brain for a reason that sounds absurd to modern ears, until you crack one open and look at what is inside. The Greeks had a word for the walnut, karion. It meant both nut and head. Crack a walnut shell and examine the kernel. Two hemispheres, mirror images of each other. A thin membrane running down the center dividing left from right. A hard outer casing protecting the soft tissue within. It looks exactly like a human brain, encased in a skull. The Greek physician Dioscorides noticed this around 50 AD. In his masterwork, De Materia Medica, a text that would remain the authoritative medical reference for over 1,500 years, he listed the walnut among 600 medicinal plants. His prescription was specific. Walnuts were good for head ailments because they resembled the brain. This was not metaphor, this was medical doctrine. The physician Galen formalized the connection a century later. Then the Swiss physician Paracelsus in the 1500s called the walnut the perfect signature of the head. They called this the doctrine of signatures. The belief was that God designed plants to reveal their purpose through their appearance. A walnut looks like a brain, therefore it heals the brain. Simple, logical, and completely wrong about the mechanism. But here is what matters. The prescription was correct. The walnut does not heal the brain because it resembles one. It heals the brain because of what is inside. Omega-3 fatty acids that cross the blood-brain barrier and incorporate directly into neuronal cell membranes. Polyphenols that reduce neuroinflammation. Antioxidants that protect neurons from oxidative damage. The highest concentration of alpha-linolenic acid of any tree nut on Earth. The ancient physicians had no microscopes, no clinical trials, no understanding of fatty acid metabolism. They simply observed that people who ate walnuts seemed to think more clearly, and they built an entire medical philosophy around that observation. For centuries, modern medicine dismissed this as superstition. Medieval thinking replaced by chemistry. The doctrine of signatures became a historical curiosity. Then, in 2014, a researcher at UCLA decided to test whether the ancient physicians were onto something real. Dr. Lenore Arab had spent a decade as a nutrition advisor for the World Health Organization. She had watched countless superfoods rise and fall: acai, goji berries, pomegranate, each one promising miracles, each one delivering modest results at best when tested in large populations. When Arab decided to analyze walnut consumption across the entire United States population, she expected the same pattern: modest effects, statistical noise. What she found instead forced her to use a word she rarely used in scientific papers: exciting. Arab's team at the David Geffen School of Medicine analyzed nationally representative data from tens of thousands of Americans aged 20 to 90. They tested 6 different cognitive functions, including reaction time, learning, memory, and processing speed. The pattern was unmistakable. Adults over 60 who consumed just 13 grams of walnuts daily, less than a handful, scored 7.1 percentile points higher on memory tests. They scored 7.3 percentile points higher on processing speed. Both findings were statistically significant. The correlation held regardless of age, gender, or ethnicity. In a separate 2019 study, her team found that walnut consumers had depression scores 26% lower than non-consumers. The effect was stronger in women, 32% lower than in men. Meanwhile, Dr. Abha Chaudhry at the New York State Institute for Basic Research was discovering why. Her team found that walnut extract could physically dissolve amyloid beta fibers, the protein tangles that characterize Alzheimer's disease. The disaggregation rate reached 43.7%. The walnuts were not just correlating with better brain function, they were breaking apart the plaques associated with dementia. So why have you never heard this from your doctor? On February 22, 2010, the Food and Drug Administration sent a warning letter to Diamond Foods. The company had been making claims about walnuts, stating the omega-3s can help promote and maintain heart health. The FDA found this unacceptable. They declared that Diamond's walnut products were being marketed as drugs. Diamond removed all health claims from their packaging. To be clear, the FDA did not classify walnuts as drugs. They warned that marketing claims made the products legally function as drugs, and drugs require approval that walnuts do not have. This is where the architecture of silence begins. In 1994, Congress passed the Dietary Supplement Health and Education Act. It created a 2-tiered system that persists to this day. Supplements can make structure and function claims, such as supports brain health, without FDA pre-approval. They simply add a disclaimer and continue selling. Whole Foods face a different standard entirely. They need FDA-approved qualified health claims. In March 2004, the FDA approved a qualified health claim for walnuts, but only for heart disease. No brain health claims are permitted. This is true despite 220 peer-reviewed studies funded by the California Walnut Commission alone, despite the UCLA research, and despite Alzheimer's mechanism studies. A walnut cannot tell you what it does for your brain. Now look at the economics. The brain health supplement market in 2024 was nearly $11 billion. The omega-3 supplement market was $7.7 billion. The supplement industry spends between $900 million and $5 billion annually on advertising. The California Walnut Commission's entire marketing budget was $17.6 million. The supplement industry spends more on marketing in a single month than the entire walnut industry spends in a year. They sell you fish oil capsules for $30 a bottle, while walnuts cost $8 a pound. They fund studies on synthetic compounds that can be patented, while whole food research goes unfunded. You cannot patent a walnut. No company can gain exclusive rights to a food that has been cultivated for 7,000 years. The economics do not support promoting something no one can own. Now here is the preparation method most people get completely wrong. Crack open a walnut and look at what you are holding. That wrinkled kernel is wrapped in a thin, papery brown skin called the pellicle. Never remove it. That skin contains most of the polyphenols, the compounds that give walnuts their neuroprotective power. Blanched walnuts have had their medicine stripped away. The dose that appears repeatedly in the research is 7 whole walnuts per day, approximately 1 ounce or 28 grams. That is the amount associated with improved cognitive scores. Raw is better than roasted. Roasting reduces vitamin E content by 20% and degrades the omega-3 fatty acids that make walnuts unique among tree nuts. If you must roast, keep temperatures below 300 degrees Fahrenheit and skip the oil. Store shelled walnuts in the refrigerator, where they keep for 3 to 12 months. Fresh walnuts smell mildly sweet and nutty. If they smell like paint thinner, they have gone rancid. A few cautions deserve mention. Tree nut allergies affect approximately 3.9 million Americans, and walnuts are among the most common triggers. If you are on blood thinners like warfarin, maintain a consistent intake and consult your physician because walnuts contain vitamin K. If you are prone to kidney stones, limit consumption because walnuts are high in oxalates. And remember, 1 ounce contains 190 calories, so portion control matters. 2,000 years ago, physicians prescribed walnuts for brain health based on appearance alone. They had no microscopes, no clinical trials, no understanding of omega-3 fatty acids or polyphenol metabolism. They simply observed that this food seemed to help people think more clearly. Modern science has spent decades and millions of dollars confirming what they already knew. The only difference is that now we understand why. The supplement industry cannot patent a walnut. The FDA cannot approve brain health claims for a whole food. Your doctor probably received fewer than 25 hours of nutrition training across 4 years of medical school. But now you know what the ancient physicians knew, what UCLA researchers confirmed, and what neurologists tell their patients: 7 walnuts a day. The pharmacy is already in your kitchen. Subscribe to Heritage Garden Wisdom right now. Every share helps spread what the marketing budgets cannot. Comment below if you are going to start eating 7 walnuts daily. Like this video if you believe food knowledge this important deserves to reach everyone.